a theologian, I think his name is William Barclay, said there are two great moments in your life, and that is the day that you're born and the day that you figure out why. So, you know, it's important that we know for a fact, epigenetics and science has proven all of us have a 50%, we're born with 50% happiness genetically. All right? So in this pie chart, if they are 100%, the other 40% is your behavior. Now, pending what's happened in your life or how you want to change your life or how you see life can change. That 40% can either be happy, positive, or negative. If it's positive, that 40 and plus the 50 you're born with is 90% right there that you're happy.
Yes.
The other little 10% are unfortunate little things that can happen to you.
It's life that happens. Life is
right.
And shit happens. Is great. And it does. And it's okay when shit happens. You might have that bloop on the map of, okay, well, this sucks. Now what? Then you back to the happiness spectrum.
Yep. And I feel like more than ever during the pandemic, I felt like it was more than anything. I didn't care if I got paid or not. I wanted to make sure people understood how important, how much they were valued, how much they contribute. And it's kind of like the artist's palette, because as you paint, you have various colors, right? Beautiful colors, right? But and look at the, how the Sistine Chapel was, or one of these wondrous paintings that can happen. But if you mix all the colors together, it can become a dullish color. And I felt like that's what was almost starting to happen. We have so much to give, and we have so much to, emanate joy and peace and work together. So evil begets evil. So, if get people angry and want to be violent, and that continues and continues. And then there are the peaceful people, but they don't really do, we can't just stay and allow that to happen. There's other ways to do it. And you bond. And as you grow and you bond, you learn things. Like I just learned how to hold the phone with one hand so I could actually talk with my left hand as an Italian. So everything happens, it just happens. There's too many incredibly intelligent people, vibrant, healthy. I mean, we have a light around us, and some people call it the chakra and the universe. But I'm telling you, we are empowered. We can do great, and when we put our power and focus on that, you can excel. And it's endless. It's boundaryless. It really is.
Can I tell you a story? So last March, I came back, March 1st, from a 6-month sabbatical. I had just gone completely away from all my work. I'd worked for 15 years in a row, podcasting, book writing. I wrote 7 books, 7 years. I was doing all kind of stuff, and I'm like, I got to get away. And in that 6 months of being away, I changed internally. I came to terms with some trauma from my past childhood trauma and things that happened with that, things in my personal life that shifted everything in my life. But I became peaceful from within. So that when I came back, and then 2 weeks later after coming back, the pandemic starts, something shifted in my head that said, Jimmy, the diet stuff's cool and all, and keep doing that, but it's not your mission now. Your mission now is to be light. Your mission now is to be an encourager. Your mission now is to uplift and even challenge people in a gentle way that they can be better, and to show them happiness is attainable, and being that demonstration on camera. And I had no sponsors last year because of the pandemic. People were scared. I didn't care. It was about how can I have an influence on the world, because being positive and making an influence brought me happiness, which then let me exude it on the camera to talk to people this way. It became this kind of thing that fed in, so that now that we're on the other side of that somewhat, we're still going through the pandemic, but on the other side, and some of the sponsors have come back, I'm still doing it, and I'm still enjoying it, and I feel like it's my purpose in this world. And that too has also kind of given me even more happiness. When I thought I was pretty happy before, I'm abundantly more happy now.
Yep. And, if you can't change a situation, you can change your attitude about the
Yeah.
situation. You really can. And you can start pointing out positive things, and you can join together. So you can, in which you are right now, what has happened with you. You are the light in darkness. You research, you know that you have a great gift, and you're trying to allow other people to know how important it is to be merciful, to be kind, to be compassionate,
Yeah.
to enjoy and embrace the gift of life of others. That people who are, yeah, and you may not all agree, but it doesn't mean that you cannot embrace one another, and in so doing you will be happier. You just will be happier, and you'll have a peacefulness within your life.
So, Gianna, let's dissect the unhappiness because earlier you mentioned it was about bringing your thoughts under control. Why do we grab on to some negative thought, even with the forethought of knowing negative thoughts always become a cancer to this happiness that you're desiring? What makes us dwell so heavily, worshiping those negative thoughts so much?
That's a really great question. I'm not a psychologist in that, and I will have to dig deeper into to trying to research that. But we all seem to lean more towards that than we would the
Yes.
other way.
It's
I
the,
believe it could be maybe the way part of us of how we were brought up. When we are little tiny tots, and the first between now and when you're, I think, if I'm not mistaken, up until fifth grade, kids are laughing and happy, but it depends what's being instilled in you. If
yeah.
someone says when you're little, you're no good, you'll be nothing in your life, or I don't love you. We need to say I love you to our kids all the time, and sometimes we are so predisposed to time element in business and what we have to do, and we get caught up in that we forget that we have what we have around us. So I believe it starts from when you're younger, and what you've been involved with, and wanting to feel accepted and not rejected, and those little things start creeping up on you.
Yes, and I feel so much of a connection to those kids that go through trauma as a child. I was beaten and verbally abused by my father in my teenage years from 13 until I got out of the house at almost 18, and it was brutal. I mean, it took 15 years to stop feeling anger, to stop looking over my shoulder thinking he's coming to kill me. I mean, those are very real thoughts, and it's hard to be happy in the midst of that kind of an experience. And I know I'm not the only one that went through trauma, but trauma has such a lingering effect, and some people, quite frankly, never get over their trauma because they don't put in the work to try to figure out, okay, how do I deal with that in my head so that I can be happy? And yet they always desire happiness, but in a way, the trauma defined who they were. And so therefore, when they're not in a traumatic kind of state, they feel uncomfortable. Happiness would be uncomfortable in that context.
Yeah, and substance abuse as well. How
Yes.
many of us are just pressured in the society, or groups, and when you're younger, and so many tragic things happen, especially now with fentanyl, and
Yes.
it's very sad. But that's just the way things. See, but we can bounce back from that. we
Yes.
can make we can make that change, and uh, we just have to use some prudence, and really join together and work together. It's just amazing.
Come together right over me. Sorry, I have to sing on my podcast, or it's not a podcast till I sing.
You're
Well,
funny,
let's
Jimmy.
do those things that can paralyze us on the journey to happiness. So we talked about the negative thoughts and dwelling on those. Are there other factors? I'm assuming external factors of circumstances in your life, I assume would be one of those things that would paralyze you.
Well, yeah, things, your health, um, There are studies and research that actually show um, a very well-known scientists who brought together kids in college, and they would look at water, and they would send waves of negativity and waves of hatred,
Yes.
feelings towards water, and they would do the same with the opposite, waves of love, like you talk to your plants, I love you, grow, and or the same with negative, positive, loving thoughts too. That's right. And what happens is when it crystallized, you should see the beauty that came out of the ones that were positive, and the evil figures that came out with the ones that were a hatred.
Wow.
Yeah.
Having a hard time reaching my goal weight.
Just use Keto Chow, the magical meal replacement that makes keto easy. Prep takes seconds. Just add the fat you want, Keto Chow, water, and shake. And before you know it, you'll be getting rid of the fat you don't want.
I did it!
I can't believe you're finally here!
Jimmy loves KetoChow.com.
So it's called a happiness continuum. There's, you have no middle of the rope. There's only two ends. I mean, in the one side is you're very negative, you're fearful, anxious, depressed. As you know, depression is number 2 now from the World Health Organization. But from situational things, just those sentiments versus the happiness that you are achiever, you are a victor, not a victim, and you are optimistic and you want to do good, and you have that attitude of positiveness and compassion. And then there's some in the middle. You could be happy again if you use drug abuse, or some people who feel that they need something to make them feel better. But there is what they call a continuum, happiness continuum, and that's what that's all about.
Yeah, I think about all the people that rely on all these things to help them be happy, and I'm going to put it in quotation marks. Think about when you wake up in the morning, what do a lot of people grab? Jimmy doesn't, just because I don't like the taste of it, but a lot of people grab coffee. Why? Not because they need it per se. They've convinced themselves they need it. Well, I can't be happy until I have my coffee. And then they're supposedly happy. And then after work, what do they do? I know I need a capper after work. So they go and get some drinks after work, or they go out on the town. A lot of people use drugs, as you mentioned. A lot of people turn to other worldly pleasures, sex, food, you name it. We're looking for happiness in all the wrong places, to kind of paraphrase that song. Mm-hmm. And it seems to me all of those are Band-Aids for true happiness.
Right. So a real true happiness for no reason is something that's an internal peace, a sense of well-being. That's the happy for no reason. Then there's the happiness from like health, or you get satisfaction from healthy experiences. Then it goes downward. Those are the ones that are more happy from unhealthy situations. And then there's just the downright dispirited ones that are not good at all. So if you think about it, you get 95% of the same thoughts you had as yesterday. And if those thoughts are negative, man, that's just like, a whirlwind. So you have to break it. And I would show you a way, like even a simple tool. I could probably talk it through to you. So fold your hands like you're going to fold them in prayer. Yeah, fold your hands and then intertwine your fingers. Yes, great. Oh, we're communicating well now. Okay, so which thumb is on top, the right or the left?
My right thumb is on top.
Okay, let me see. Your right thumb is on top.
Right thumb.
And if your right thumb is on top, that says that you're highly intelligent. If your left hand is on top, it means you're more sexier, relationship-oriented, romance, okay? And if both are kind of sticking out,